Hello and welcome to Everyone Dies. Relax and settle in for our podcast about serious illness, dying, death, and bereavement. Because even though everyone dies, no one has to face it unprepared. This week, we explore the research behind relationships with adult children, why tensions arise, and how families can stay connected as roles change. Because parenting really doesn't end, it evolves. I'm Marianne Matzo, a nurse practitioner, and I use my experience from working as a nurse for 48 years to answer your questions about what happens at the end of life.
And I'm Charlie Navarrete, an actor in New York City, and here to offer an every-person viewpoint to our podcast. We're both here because we believe that the more you know, the better prepared you are to make difficult decisions. Remember, this podcast does not provide medical nor legal advice. Please listen to the complete disclosure at the end of the recording.
In the first half, Charlie has the obituary of Happy the elephant and our recipe of the week. In the second half, I'm going to talk about relationships with adult children. And in our third half, Charlie has an update about Barry Manilow and his lung cancer diagnosis. Hi, Charles.
Hello, Marianne.
Hey, listen, I watched a movie last night. Have you seen Agneta?
What is it called?
Agneta, Agnetta. It's currently on Netflix.
I have not.
It's about this middle-aged woman, and she watches this TV show about France. And all she wants to do is go to France and eat the bread and eat the cheese. And she loses her job. And she finds one in Provence in France. And she thinks she's going to take care of a boy. And she gets there and she finds out the boy is really an elder man who a very large part of his sort of life and personality is as a gay man. And she thinks, well, I'm going to go back home because this is obviously not working. It's not even a little boy. It's this old man. And they develop this relationship. And there's just wonderful lines. Like he left his wife and left his little boy to sort of be true to himself, and he meets this whole community of people and sort of the love of his life. And now in his very old age, he's thinking about that son who he gave up. And he didn't really give him up. The wife just said, you're sick, stay away. It was sort of that time of the world.
Yeah.
And he has a bedroom that he has for his son, Paul, who's probably in his 40s now. But Paul never shows back up. And so this man is trying to reconcile the choices he made in giving up his child to have his lifestyle and sexual expression that he wanted. And he talks at one point, he says, drown out the sorrow with joy. There's no other way. You have to live your own reality.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
Check out this film. I liked it. I don't know if anybody else will, but I just thought it was quite charming and sort of reflection on the choices we make throughout life. And then, are you happy about living with them? And can you live with them sometimes?
Yep, I get that. All right, thanks. For our first half, our recipe this week is for Irish elephant ears, which are savory puff pastry appetizers stuffed with Irish Dubliner cheese and parsley. They're great with beer, wine, or a beverage during cocktail hour, as a go-along for soup or salad, and as a classy addition to your next funeral repast. Bon appetit. Happy, A 55-year-old Asian elephant who had lived at the Bronx Zoo since 1977 was euthanized on May 27th after a period of hospice care prompted by a recent deterioration in her health, including a fall-off in kidney or liver function. The median life expectancy for female Asian elephants is approximately 45 years in North American zoo facilities, according to the Conservation Society, which decided to stop acquiring elephants 20 years ago in favor of helping endangered members of the species in the wild. Happy was born in the early 1970s, probably in Thailand, and captured at a young age and brought to the United States, where she wound up at a Florida petting zoo with 6 other elephants, each named for Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs characters. She and another of the 7, Grumpy, also a female, were acquired by the Bronx Zoo, and they lived with an old female, Tuss, in the elephant house. They were trained to do tricks, give rides to children, and perform at elephant weekends. Eventually, the 3 were moved to the zoo's Wild Asian section, where they joined Patty and the second elephant, Maxine. Tuss died in 2002. Soon after, Patty and Maxine attacked Grumpy, fatally wounding her. Happy could no longer be kept with them. A young female elephant that was brought in to be her new companion soon died. From then on, Happy was separated from Patty, and until she died, Maxine, by a fence that divided the zoo's roughly 2-acre, tree-lined elephant enclosure. To animal rights activists, the fence was a cruel impediment to Happy's ability to live in a way that was true to her nature. Elephants are highly social creatures. They roam in herds, communicate with one another through low-frequency rumbles and the slight angling of their bodies, and engage in mourning behaviors when one of their number dies. Zoo officials insist that Happy was not isolated and that she and Patty touched trunks, smelled each other, and communicated. In Happy's last weeks, zoo officials said staff members monitored her behavior and overall health while providing specialized supportive care. Despite those efforts, her condition continued to worsen. A necropsy revealed several large, inoperable uterine tumors and arthritis, which members of the zoo's veterinary team believe contributed to her decline. Happy died peacefully surrounded by the keepers, curators, and veterinarians who cared for her, some for more than 30 years, with access to the elephant barn and outdoor yard spaces where she was most comfortable, with a choice of where she wanted to be. Her keeper noted that she was known for her hearty appetite. Sometimes, he added, she would even tuck snacks in her ear to save for later. Please go to our webpage for this week's recipe and additional resources for this program. This is the part where we ask for your financial support. Your tax-deductible gift will go directly to supporting our nonprofit journalism so that we can remain accessible to everyone. You can donate at www.everyonedies.org. That's every, the number 1, dies.org. Or at our site on Patreon under Everyone Dies. Marianne?
Thanks, Charlie. I was 39 when I had my first child and 40 with my second. As a gerontologist, I spent most of my time with older adults as well as problem solving with them and their adult children. During my career, I saw adult kids trying to do too much for their parents and some who did the absolute minimum. Arriving late to the birthing baby world, I had plenty of time to watch my siblings and friends have their babies and parent them. Some of my friends said they wanted children to have someone to care for them when they got old. Given what I was observing, it seemed overly optimistic that this would happen. Adult kids were increasingly mobile and hours, if not days, away from their parents. I've always loved talking to my elder patients, and I would often ask them if they could go back and do it again. Would they have children? I was surprised when most of them would say no, with the qualifier that they wouldn't want to give up the children they had, but that if they'd known what they knew now then, they wouldn't do it. They said they had no idea how much work it was going to be. Now, I'll admit that having 2 kids 14 months apart was a tremendous amount of work, really hard work at times. But even so, I really enjoyed them, seeing how their minds work, learning who they were, watching them deal with challenges and hardships, working to understand and nurture each developmental stage. My oldest is turning 30 this year, and in the past few years, I've been watching the issues that emerge between parents and their adult children that we've really not previously seen. We've produced some podcasts about estrangement between parents and their kids, issues of boundaries, grief, and caregiving challenges. I recently saw this poem on Facebook. It's called Nobody Tells You. This is why a mother lets go. She does not release you because her love disappeared. She lets go because loving you began to feel like pleading. Each unanswered message, each missed call, each moment she was made to feel unwanted slowly wore her down. A mother does not walk away easily. She fights, waits, hopes, and keeps loving even while it hurts. And when silence lasts too long, she chooses peace over pain. Then she lets go quietly, with tears no one sees and a heart still full of love, only no longer reaching for someone who stopped reaching back. This reminded me of the Shel Silverstein's poem, The Giving Tree, which is a picture book published in 1964. It tells a parable about a tree and a boy across their entire lives. The boy takes the tree's apples, branches, and trunk at different stages, leaving the tree a stump. It reads as a metaphor for motherhood, to me anyway, and all that a mother will sacrifice to meet the needs of their child. If you've never heard the poem, you can buy the book. It's a great book to read to children. But here's the poem. Once there was a tree, and she loved a little boy. And every day the boy would come, and he would gather her leaves and make them into crowns and play king of the forest. He would climb up her trunk and swing from her branches and eat apples. They would play hide and go seek, and when he was tired, he would sleep in her shade. And the boy loved the tree very much, and the tree was happy. But time went by, and the boy grew older, and the tree was often alone. Then one day the boy came to see the tree, and the tree said, "Come, boy, come and climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and eat apples and play in my shade and be happy." "I'm too big to climb and play," said the boy. "I want to buy things and have fun. I want some money." "I'm sorry," said the tree, "but I have no money. I only have leaves and apples. Take my apples, boy, and sell them in the city. Then you will have money and you will be happy." So the boy climbed up the tree and gathered her apples and carried them away, and the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time, and the tree was sad. And then one day the boy came back, and the tree shook with joy. She said, "Come, boy, climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and be happy." "I'm too busy to climb trees," said the boy. "I want a house to keep me warm," he said. "I want a wife and I want children, and so I need a house. Can you give me a house?" "I have no house," said the tree. "The forest is my house. But if you cut off my branches and build a house, then you will be happy." So the boy cut off her branches and carried them away and built his house, and the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time, and when he came back, the tree was so happy she could hardly speak. "Come, boy," she whispered, "come and play." "I am too old and sad to play," said the boy. "I want a boat that will take me far away from here. "Can you give me a boat?" "Cut down my trunk and make a boat," said the tree. "Then you can sail away and be happy." And so the boy cut down a trunk and made a boat and sailed away. And the tree was happy, but not really. After a long time, the boy came back. "I'm sorry, boy," said the tree. "I have nothing left to give you. My apples are gone. My teeth are too weak for apples," said the boy. "My branches are gone," said the tree. "You cannot swing on them." "I'm too old to swing on branches," said the boy. "You cannot climb." "I'm too tired to climb," said the boy. "I am sorry," sighed the tree. "I wish I could give you something, but I have nothing left. I'm just an old stump. I am sorry." "I don't need very much now," said the boy. "Just a quiet place to sit and rest. I am very tired." "Well," said the tree, straightening herself up as much as she could. "Well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down. Sit down and rest." And the boy did. And the tree was happy. A Pew Research study about parenting in America documented that 62% of respondents said that being a parent has been at least somewhat harder than they expected, and about 26% saying that it had been a lot harder. This was especially true of mothers, 30% of whom say being a parent has been a lot harder than they expected, compared with 20% of fathers. The vast majority of parents, including mothers and fathers, and across income and racial and ethnic groups, 87% describe being a parent as the most or one of the most important aspects of who they were as a person. Mothers were more likely than fathers to say being a parent is the most important aspect. And Black, Hispanic parents are more likely than white or Asian parents to say the same. Despite some adult children's estrangement from their parents, many will still show up when the elder is sick or needs them. Given that the parent-child relationship is one of the most long-lasting and emotionally intense social ties, it shouldn't be surprising that these ties can also include feelings of irritation, tension, and ambivalence. Because parents may feel more invested in the relationship than their adult child does, they may report fewer tensions regarding basic interactions. But adult children may report more relationship tensions due to parents' attempt to have a closer relationship. For example, parents may make demands for greater contact or may provide more unsolicited advice, causing relationship tensions, than their children do. I had a friend who on this past Mother's Day did not hear from either of her adult children. One had her oldest go no contact over a year ago, and the other was too busy studying for a final to call her. Her investment in her children is unwavering, but she wonders why there is no time to make a 5-minute phone call. I've also had a millennial hairdresser who was telling me how annoying her mother was because when she went to the mom's house to borrow money, her mom wanted to chat and visit with her. The hairdresser was frustrated with this and said she just wanted her mother to give her the money so she could leave. Parents and their children report experiencing tensions long after children are grown. These tensions result from discrepancy in developmental needs that vary by generation, gender, and age. A study by Burdett and colleagues suggests that parents and adult children in the same families had different perceptions of tension intensity, with parents generally reporting more intense tensions than their adult children did, particularly regarding issues having to do with the children's lifestyle or behavior, like financing or housekeeping. According to Burdett, tensions may be more upsetting to parents than to children because parents have more invested in the relationship. Both adult sons and adult daughters reported more tension with their mothers than with their fathers, particularly about personality differences and unsolicited advice. It may be that children feel their mothers make more demands for closeness, Burden said, or they are generally more intrusive than fathers. These researchers found it surprising that parental perceptions of tension increased with the adult child's age, particularly about topics having to do with how they interact, like personality differences. Middle-aged children may be less invested in the parent-child tie than adult children because they're more likely to have formed their own families and experiences and have multiple role demands, Burden said. And as parents age and come to want or need more from their relationship with adult children may pull away, creating greater relationship tensions. Relationship problems like basic personality differences and parents providing unsolicited advice tend to cause more problems. It may be that these kinds of tensions are longer term and reflect deep-seated conflicts that you just can't escape, whereas conflicts about lifestyles, education, or finances can be put off to the side if you try. Both parents and adult children were most likely to deal with problems constructively by trying to accommodate each other's wishes when problems came up, working to find solutions to problems, and trying to accept and understand the other's point of view. The more intense the tension level, though, the less likely parents and children were to use constructive strategies, and the more likely they were to try avoiding the issues or use destructive strategies such as yelling or arguing. And according to Burdett, that is bad news. Avoidance and destructive strategies are associated with poor quality relationships overall. A study by Wang and colleagues in 2022 suggests that daughters' relationships with their parents prior to their parents' transition to old age, if positive, will remain so. If the relationship was unsupportive or detached, it will stay that way too. It can feel like the 2009 film, He's Just Not That Into You. The premise of that film is that if the guy wants to be with you, do things, and hang out, he will. Adult children can be the same way. Sometimes they only call when they're bored, and the people they want to be with are too busy. Sometimes they have no food in the house, so they come to yours and eat, not really to see you. And we won't even talk about the toilet paper and canned goods that go missing after their visits. Charlie, thoughts? Questions, comments?
Gosh, you know what? I always enjoyed The Giving Tree and one of Silverstein's other books, The Missing Piece. But listening this time to The Giving Tree, I don't know, maybe just because I'm older now, Marianne, but I just found the kid just to be a little snot and selfish.
And just not that into her.
Yeah. Geez. I have not, and really, I've read this for decades. I have not read it in years. But boy, what a difference a couple of decades makes.
I think our perspective changes because we're no longer the little boy. We're now the tree.
But I just did not like him. And now that I'm thinking about this, I don't know, I thought, well, the tree should have set some limits, etc. But no, that's
some boundaries.
That's not the point. Wow, yeah, gosh, Marianne, thank you for destroying this image of this book I always loved. Thank you very much.
Yes,
yeah, it's just
I like to take down preconceptions one at a time.
Yeah. Wow,
there's this Facebook group called Sandy won't let me swear, but it starts with an F and it ends with a CK. It's called Them Kids. And it's just people about essentially, you know, I guess maybe realizing that kids can be assholes. And
And vice versa. Yeah.
and sometimes maybe
hmm
the way the parent copes is to say, fuck them kids. And it's been sort of interesting to me as a nurse scientist, even to watch, at the beginning of the adult estrangement movement, if you want to call it a movement or whatever adjective is appropriate. It was all about the kids and their boundaries and their intrusive parents. And then at some point into it, maybe like a year, because I think parents weren't talking about it. They didn't want anybody to know that their kid had been estranged from them or had chosen no contact.
Right.
All of a sudden, the mothers, there's one father, but the rest of the people are mothers who are saying, hold the phone. And they are talking about the hurt and the pain that the estrangement causes them. They're talking about the relationships with the adult kids, the things the adult kids are doing, which is part of where the, fuck them kids group came from. And it's been fascinating to watch these boomer moms, which, of course, what are the boomers going to do except say, you're not doing this. At least I'm not going to be quiet while you're doing this. The mothers were suffering in silence for a while there, but people are not silent anymore. And so it's sort of been fascinating to watch the evolution of the mothers saying, I wasn't perfect. I know I wasn't perfect. At the time, I knew I wasn't perfect, but I did the best that I could. And I certainly, for many of the mothers, are saying, and I certainly did better than my own parents did. I made mistakes, but different ones, And they're saying, is this the consequence? And then the adult kids are saying, well, I wasn't asked to be born. I didn't ask you to do any of that. And so there's this whole dialogue going on about, well, you didn't ask for it. I did my best. So why is the consequence of, 25 years of giving, being the giving tree, resulting in I can't see my grandkids and I can't talk to you. So it took a while for the moms to kind of rear their head and say, no, this is painful and it's not acceptable and I'm not happy with this. Now, how this all ends up playing out, I don't know. Do you have any friends who kids have gone no contact with them? Do you have any experience with this?
I have no friends. No. I've seen it with friends and acquaintances, but it's just, I'm happy to say, was really not a phenomena in my family. So I'm very...
Do any of your siblings have kids?
No.
Well, that's why it's not a phenomenon. Well, it's less, at least it's started out as initiated by the adult children.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm seeing more of, at least in social media, is that the mothers, see, again, you don't hear too much from the fathers, at least on social media. The mothers, though, are saying, I'm tired of walking on eggshells around you. I don't like how you treat me. I'm going no contact back. So they're both going non-contact with each other. It's sort of like, a standoff where, they're both saying something needs to change, but then how does that change if you're not in contact with each other? How do you work on a relationship if you don't talk to each other?
Right.
How do you grow by totally isolating yourself? I mean, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So I don't know how then it all plays out. Will these parents not have their children, with them in their final moments of life? So I want to know what happened with Barry Manilow.
Well, when Barry Manilow was diagnosed with lung cancer, we produced a podcast about lung cancer. On May 29, Mr. Manilow released a statement and video about how he was recovering. He reported about his post-surgery recovery, included a 7-day ICU stay during which he unknowingly had pneumonia. He said, "I didn't know about pneumonia. I was in the ICU for 7 days because they couldn't graft this pneumonia that was just about killing me." Since the start of the year, Manilow has announced multiple show postponements as he continues his recovery. He described the February visit to the surgeon ahead of his anticipated return to the stage as very depressing. Despite using the treadmill 3 times a day to prepare for his upcoming arena tour dates, his surgeon advised against him resuming the previously postponed concerts. The cancer diagnosis and surgery has forced Manilow to take stock of his life. This made me stop and think about, have I done what I wanted to do, and have I made people happy? Have I been a good friend? All of those cornball things that I've read for all of my life, I started to think about that too. It really did stop me in my tracks. I was sure I would be able to do the arena shows in a few weeks, Manilow said, but his doctor shook his head. He looked at me and then he looked at the floor. "What?" I said, Manilow wrote. His doctor told him, "Barry, you won't be ready to do a 90-minute show. Your lungs aren't ready yet. You're in great shape considering what you've been through, but your body isn't ready. You shouldn't do the first arena shows. You won't make it through." Deep down, I wanted to go back, but my body knew what my heart didn't want to admit. I wasn't ready, the singer said. Manilow continued, "I'm still healthy. I'm strong and I've still got my voice and my energy. The night I can't hit the F natural on Even Now, that's the night I know to throw in the towel. But I can still do it." Please stay tuned for the continuing saga of Everyone Dies, and thank you for listening. You can find more episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Follow and subscribe to the show. Share it with someone today. This is Charlie Navarrete, and from philosopher Kwame Anthony Appiah regarding a poignant role reversal. One of the ordinary sorrows of life is to watch a parent in whose arms we were once so small grow smaller in ours.
And I'm Marianne Matzo, and we'll see you next week. Remember, every day is a gift.
This podcast does not provide medical advice. All discussion on this podcast, such as treatments, dosages, outcomes, charts, patient profiles, advice, messages, and any other discussion are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. Always seek the advice of your primary care practitioner or other qualified health providers with any questions that you may have regarding your health. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard from this podcast. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or 911 immediately. Everyone Dies does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, practitioners, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned in this podcast. Reliance on any information provided in this podcast by persons appearing on this podcast at the invitation of Everyone Dies or by other members is solely at your own risk.